The world does not consist of only ones and zeros. It allows the existence of areas between yes and no.
So now that I've spent the first video on ironing out the gameplay elements, let's finally move forward on the plot. As I do with every game I play, after clearing the beginner's area, I selected another set of keywords to create an area in my range to improve Kite and Blackrose's stats. I suggest you all do the same, as many events that occur as part of the main storyline only trigger if you're beyond a certain level. And it's always good to have those extra points to attack an offense when you confront something just a bit beyond you. Next up is Delta Expansive Haunted Sea of Sands, where Kite and Blackrose look to find Aura from the board post. The area is glitched out, and a nearby player informs them that an operator is said to leave the area. Of course, our protagonists ignore that and descend in. Aura isn't there, but a databug monster is. Kite using data drain to clear out the infection, but another player witnessed the act. This is Mistral, real name Mayumi Kurakawa, a chipper wavemaster that, like BT, is an item hunter. She's noticed odd things popping up since the server crash, so Kite's antics aren't that outrageous to her, and she's also a housewife, burning her dinner as she is distracted by Kite. She gives you her member address, gaining a wavemaster that was sorely needed to the party. But with this, you're gated back to town and... oh god.
He have fair eyes!
It's Puros. Damn it! Everybody has a character in various franchises they just cannot tolerate for any reason, rational or no. And Puros, real name Hiroshi Matsuyama, is mine. While he improves massively as a character in .hack GU and loses most of his insufferable qualities there, I find him irritating in the first era of .hack. I hate his look, I hate his voice, I hate his actions, and I fucking hate his personal storyline, what little of one there is. And to my eternal chagrin about holding such ire towards him, he is a self-insertion parody of and named after CyberConnect's real-life world president and director of the .hack projects, Hiroshi Matsuyama. And real-life Hiroshi Matsuyama is nothing short of a great guy, and an all-around nice individual who adores all sorts of media and storytelling, from Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts, even after Square Enix belittled his company, all the way to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and My Hero Academia, and loves to get feedback from and interact with fans whenever he gets a chance, be it at conventions where he cosplays himself, or out in the real world. Hell, thanks to Tokusatsu Network member and Tokusatsu cosplayer Destiny Amber, who's also a huge .hack fan like myself, I got to learn he also shares a love of the Kamen Rider franchise, which I spent years introducing Westerners to, before Toei made it near impossible to post analysis videos on their series to video platforms, with his favorite entries being Den-O and O's. While I am sour to Den-O, at least the man shows he has taste in adoring O's. But back on point, if Hiroshi Matsuyama was not around, the .hack franchise may never have come about. While he wasn't a main writer for it, he nonetheless was involved and did play a big part in shaping its development. Also, please for the love of Aura, let there be no scandal about the hidden monstrous nature of content creators that ruined something I enjoyed from this company, which will make me have to walk back that statement. You've already had enough of those as it is. And because I regularly have the absolute strangest form of timing that can throw off the content of my reviews, on April 3rd, 2019, which was literally the week after I edited together this video for later scheduled release, Hiroshi Matsuyama released onto Amazon Kindle, in English as well as Japanese, the book called Digital Daydreams, A Tale of a Japanese Video Game Creator, which is all about the backstory and background details behind CyberConnect 2's video game production history, and how they made it big not just with their original content games like .hack, Ashura's Wrath, and the Little Tale Bronx games, but also their licensed game content, and managed to be one of the few companies to churn out good games based on licensed properties with consistency no other has managed. At the time I was reproducing the first era .hack reviews for release onto YouTube's platform, said book had not yet been released, and once it was, it had reached far beyond a point by which I could modify these reviews to take advantage of insights which would be garnered from its content that has become available since. So even these remaster reviews are now lacking info that is publicly available. As I have now read the book, I hope to be able to reference it more in the future as I plan to review more CyberConnect titles, but its content will unfortunately factor little into these re-releases. If you are someone who enjoys looking into the background details of the production of various pieces of media, especially since the backstory to how a game can go good or absolutely wrong has become ever more important to the state of media development as showcased by the likes of BioWare's Anthem controversy, and would like insight into CyberConnect 2's head, it is something to take a look at. Hell, you wanna know how nice a guy Matsuyama is? In 2016, he appeared in an interview with Dengeki Hobby Magazine alongside Sword Art Online's writer Reki Kawahara and SAO's game producer Futami Yosuke, and as part of it, they all tried to put the animosity between their respective fans to rest. It didn't work, largely because SAO fans in my experience are elitist unthinking jerks who ignored the purposes of the entire interview, and by proxy for everyone else, SAO is a contentious and heavily criticized story to begin with regardless of .hack fans' involvement in the room, and has a lot of problems to it that would take a long video series to cover them all. But the takeaway was both creators respected the other, SAO did draw inspiration from .hack as it as a franchise came before SAO, though Kawahara writing the earliest chapters of SAO did coincide with .hack's initial releases, and SAO's games are constantly making homages to .hack, with Hollow Fragment and Alicization like Chorus's game titles bearing overt and intentional references to the .hack franchise, according to producer Futami Yosuke, who is now also using .hack as a roadmap to build out that franchise. Why neither views the other as a ripoff as well, even though Kawahara has admitted he borrowed some of .hack's plot points, is due to how the priorities between each's storytelling engines differ. SAO to drama at the cost of setting, lore and consistency and character, as said by Kawahara about his writing, and .hack to immersion and exploration of a grounded setting and characters at the cost of time with them. Again, I'd rather not get into problems of SAO here, but that explanation also spotlighted why there is such conflict over SAO's quality in contrast to any other virtual world or gaming isekai series, as the heaviest criticism Sword Art Online has received is in how the story treats everyone that isn't the main character as disposable for the sake of advancing its plot, as Kawahara has admitted his story is primarily a wish fulfillment be the hero fantasy, which thus makes connections to the cast more fleeting, shallow, or irrelevant beyond their potential as waifu or harem members. He does horrible things to the cast to make people invested in their crisis, whereas .hack does the opposite and uses the characters themselves and the lore to the setting alongside the developments they go through to make people invested. Put a character through the same plots in both stories and they'll end up in two different destinations because of these divergent approaches to storytelling. One's just more likely to repulse a new coming audience with what is done to the characters, while the other has higher chance of bridging an emotional connection by which we want to see them get past what they go through. I dislike these characters not because they are rip-offs of others, but because of who they are, what they've done, or what was done to them, and how their story twists itself to make those not them or their allies ridiculously reprehensible just for them to be the heroes of it. Whereas with .hack, if I dislike a cast member and I wasn't intended to dislike them, it's because I dislike how they act or the role they play in things being to the story's detriment. And with it being years since I originally did this retrospective, yeah, my negative opinion of Puros in this era solely of the franchise has not changed. I hate Puros and Imok. His character and how he conducts himself later on is far more tolerable and actually reaches the endearing side of campy. But he just seems to hit too many of my annoying me buttons to think about anything else here. I guess it's just another sign of the growth everyone undergoes in this franchise when they get the chance to be part of multiple entries that he goes from nuisance to valued member of the team. But with every other annoying, insufferable, idiotic, and hypocritical jackass I've had to put up with since I originally talked about him, even within the same franchise, Puros is honestly no longer a blip on my radar, because he does get past it and stop being insufferable. Tabi, Tokyo, and Sakia are far worse characters than .hack, whereas I just find him to be annoying. In part how, like Balmug, he is constantly stuck role-playing. And sadly, the majority of Puros' missions cannot be skipped, forcing me to sit through every one of them. Damn it. Anyways, Puros won't leave you alone until you go through an area to witness him in battle, so keep Black Rose around and add Mistral to your party. Also, now you've got a fair stock of items to sell and trade with, so before heading out, gather some items from the retailers in town and see if the wandering pseudo-NPCs have anything good. The players in town change from visit to visit, but them wandering around generally sticks to the same routes as long as you don't leave the town. You can get some strong equipment early on if you trade a lot of comparatively worthless crap, as long as it's not one of the traders that desire specific items like the axes and elemental drinks. Do everything you can to pick up a Thunder Torque now, though, and still be the best head slot item for you if you wish to survive. The party has the Delta Indiscreet Gluttonous Pilgrimage for Puros' show, and here's where I need to talk about a real problem with the game mechanics, which the production staff would not fix until GU, and then screw it up far, far worse in .hack Link. See, Wavemaster is the heavy spellcasting and healing class, but while in your party, you'll need to micromanage every little freaking action they do, as they won't do it on their own. When engaging in battle, the normal action of a player in your party is to physically attack something until it dies. Wavemasters have weak to no physical attack stats, so they don't actually do it. So they just follow you around, doing nothing. As they're healers, that can be good, until they start drawing the ire of other monsters as they didn't actually put any distance between them and you. And they still do nothing. You literally need to give them the command to heal for them to refill the health gauge, or they will need to be revived. And likewise, if you need magic support from an enemy that is weak to a specific magical ability, you also need to remind them to do that. Oh, and if the health meter is refilled, they stop casting healing spells, even if the party member whose health was just replenished is damaged afterwards. The party command system is made so you don't have to micromanage your companion's actions unless in very specific circumstances, not so you can tell your medic to do an action they should automatically be doing. I am so glad they fixed this in GU, as in GU, CyberConnect showed their competency at truly programming NPC party AI. Better than any other action RPG with a self-managing party system has to date as far as I'm aware. And even to CyberConnect's credit for how crappy and obnoxiously micromanaging this can be, this was still better than you would get from any self-managed NPC party member in 2002 and 2003 in any game you would find at the time, and any character in this game can serve as a far more competent healer than Donald in early Kingdom Hearts media, as at least they won't burn all of their mana doing thoughtless actions that don't even affect the enemies. You just need to remind them to do it. The micromanagement gets annoying, but at least they actually do what you tell them. Anyways, the group makes its way down into the dungeon, where Puros is showcasing his battle prowess. Against a monster not only higher level than him, but alone, and the monster has a regenerative spell continuously casting. Titan crew step in, saving the idiot from a game over, and in return, you get a spell scroll and Puros' member address. Anyways, back on the desktop, Kai receives 3 emails of note. The first is from Black Rose, beginning the mail chains all party characters in this game have. Answer questions in manners that continue the chain, and you can receive more and more affection points for the character, and learn more about them as a result. The points hold 3 purposes. First is lore building, creating an ingenious way to impart benign facts and exposition about characters in a way that isn't awkward to the overall narrative, which allows you to know them far more as individuals and increases the appeal of them massively, even with the limited framework and insight we're permitted, due to that expanded perspective on them. Though the problem of that is, while we learn small tidbits of them, we are never really given enough to actualize them to the point of a real nuanced character depiction. Second, these correspondence makes the characters fight a bit better in battle, and finally, you need certain friendship ratings with certain side characters to unlock their side story quests. On top of answering emails, affection also raises when you use them in your party regularly, trade with them, and give them stuff, and rare items they can use tend to make them ecstatic. For example, whenever I get an excess of golden or silver axes, I give them to Puros. It's one of the many, many worthless rare items in the game, but because he's an axeman that uses them and it's rare, it is an automatic boost to his friendship scores. So I unlock things for completion and clear out my inventory, while Puros thinks I'm his bestest friend forever, even when he metaphorically kills me with a tank named Sheila. Unfortunately, the downside of its implementation here is there is absolutely no way to track the affection rating metric in the original 4 games. You are completely flying blind on it, and it can be frustrating to keep track of that without a flowchart of the mail lines. But if you have a printout of all the mail line dialogue to keep track of your progress through them and the affection you need to unlock them, then why not just use that? This is yet another thing for the original games that was a good and yet severely flawed addition that was made massively better in the GU games. As there, they made this metric visible by proxy of a small graphic that slowly changed color and gained orbiting stars to certify the strength and fortitude of your bond. Thus it told you who you needed to spend more time with or gift more things visibly to raise their scores and start the relationship mail chains. And there, the entire affection rating system in GU actually led to something at its end. Whereas here, aside from one or two characters, your reward is just learning some inane detail about a character, which, while important so no one in the cast is left as a one-dimensional character, looking at you, Sword Art Online media, most of the time those details revealed are inane and only keeps the grand majority of them on the level of being two-dimensional characters, as none of them ever factors into, well, anything we see out of them outside of the very rare circumstances. Which, again, is something amended when they did this again in .ACT-GU, where interests and experiences tied more heavily into the depiction and three-dimensional actualization of its cast through their respective storylines. Regardless, if you think you might not have a high enough affection rating, just give them a crap ton of stuff. The second email is from CCCorp, telling Kite he may already be a winner but needs to send money to a Nigerian prince first. And lastly is an anonymous email, demanding Kite halt his investigations, not so subtly implying bad things may happen to him if he doesn't. Kite logs in and suddenly out of nowhere obtains the Book of Law from the contest from the Save Man. It is added to your key items, but trying to use it fails. Apparently overwriting your character is forbidden by the Game Master. Log out again to receive a message from Mia. She apparently has found out a secret power to the bracelet, and asks you to come alone to Delta Boundless Corrupted Fort Walls. Stock up your inventory for a solo run and head in. The area is level 7, so if you're that or higher, you'll likely be good, especially if you use data drain against tough monsters if you absolutely need to, since this is another glitched area.
How do you know about data drain?
Well, it's hard to say. Do you think the area is really corrupted? The truth is, for something to be born, something must break.
Plot point. Granted, it's pretense for me to see data drain in action, against the databugged red worm, which serves as your boss battle. From the data drain you receive the virus core M, again, and me and Elk will emerge from the side of the room. Mia is impressed, and the group returns to town so she can show Kite the bracelet's other ability. The ability to gate hack. Gate hacker removes the restrictions placed by either the admins or Morgana on specific areas, making them open once more to anyone who wishes to gate to them. You use virus cores to break them, at max using 4 different cores, with up to 4 of a single type. Common virus cores come up randomly from any monster you data drain, with specific ones provided by certain data-bugged boss monsters like the red worm Kite just fought. Though different servers grant different cores, so once more you'll need to use data drain to stock up on the common ones for later in the campaign. On average, you'll need approximately 20 of each type if you're looking to stock up early. Mia's instructions get you into the locked area stated on the board. Delta Closed Oblivious Twin Hills. Her general belief being a secret is being kept in the locked areas. It's much more a glitched field, with a data-bugged stone turtle at the bottom. Even after data draining, it is a tough monster, so if you have wood skills or spells, now would be a good time to unleash them.
There has to be a reason why you have that bracelet. You will go there to find out the reason, right?
Kite, feeling he can trust the pair, informs them of the events with Orca, and they agree to help in the future. Though Mia continues to show more interest in the bracelet, and Elk too timid to object to her wishes. On the board is a message about the Spiral Edge, a rare twin blade weapon, and the keywords to get to it. Huzzah! Though another player called Natsume is also after it. Helba also sends you a primer on the virus cores, just for those who need a record of the info in-game. Going back to Mankanu, Kite has his personal space invaded by a familiar jackass. Apparently, Ballmug found out somehow that Kite knows Orca, and is only now asking about his partner's condition. As I said, had he stuck around to ask questions when they met, this would have been over and done with. And of course, he infers that Kite bearing the same power as those who caused Orca's condition makes him no better than them, despite him being there when Kite got that power, hasn't used it on any players, and saved his life with it. And then, suddenly Helba. Yeah, she tends to do that. They really need to put a bell on her. It helps play up the whole white-garbed mistress of the dark thing. She warns of the treachery of Leos, a system admin, and gives Kite a free virus core, freaking him out with her intimate knowledge.
Someone is always watching you.
Hold on. Why are you helping me?
Helping you? Who knows? You might be the one helping me. Take care, little boy.
Well played, Major Kusanagi. Anyways, now's the time to hunt for the Spiral Edge at Delta Raging Passionate Melody. The twin blade weapon is naturally at the god statue at the bottom of the dungeon, but the area has a fair number of magic portals to get experience from, so take some time to chase them down, especially if your team isn't at full strength. This is also a good place to talk about the Menhir enemy class. Menhirs are among a small number of enemies which can revive others in battle, so destroying them should be an extremely high priority. If you end up in battle with more than one of them involved, which trust me, will happen almost every time you encounter them, or the other enemies in this game with the resurrection skills, or some of the spellcasters with the really debilitating crap, they can change resurrection spells to the point you potentially exhaust yourself as one of them revives the other before you can kill them both. If that happens, data drain them until only one is around, and murder it with extreme prejudice. I have no idea what moron thought that was a good idea, and I'm baffled at how anyone in-universe will actually manage to defeat them as, come on, it consistently takes us data drain to get past them. In the dungeon entrance, you meet Natsume. Natsume's character model is the same as A20, so she also suffers from a case of squinting eyes. But don't hold that against her, she's actually a rather sweet kid. Well, she is in this era of the franchise. Natsume is a recruitable party member, and as you could guess, it revolves around retrieving the Spiral Edge from the god statue at the bottom, and once you have it, just return to the top and give it to her.
Oh? Are you sure? But I can't give you anything in return. Well, except maybe myself. What?
Phrasing! Though, yeah, it's heavily applied over the series that she might have ended up obsessively crushing on Kite, to the point she ends up keeping tabs on him 7 years after this storyline concludes.
She's quite the clingy stalker.
What are you talking about? I've never stalked anybody in my life.
There's no need to be embarrassed.
Natsume gives Kite her member address, adding a second twin blade to the ranks. On the board, someone posts in the Aura thread about seeing her in an area on Theta server, prompting Black Rose to email Kite on their need to head to Dunloriag. Aura also chimes in, sitting in the garbled messages that she needs help urgently before Morgana causes any more casualties. This brings us all to Dunloriag, and please take the time to look around before heading out. Dunloriag is a lot cleverer than it was in Sign, but at least it still hosts the Grunty Ranch. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what Grunties are. Cows crossed with horses? I don't know, but they're absolutely adorable. You can raise them by feeding them Grunty food found in the areas, with each type of food giving them different parameters that affect a Grunty's growth, making their adult forms unique if they have the right parameters. The generic adult Grunty is the noble Grunty, and if you're just raising them blind, they'll what you'll receive the most of. You want to try and breed the unique ones, as they hold a host of treasure and hard-to-find items you may want to add to your inventory, and in mutation onwards, you can race them. And with this game, it is tedious to track them all down, so here is a collection of keywords for collecting mass quantities of the food. You'll want to stock up on golden eggs the most, as they don't affect stats, so feeding them en masse makes a Grunty grow up fast once you have them in the proper range. The area Delta Closed Corrupted Great Seal has them in the second room of the dungeon, and merely leaving it resets it at its location. And for a simplified shopping list of what you'll want to stock up on the most, here is that as well. This list will allow you to, through all 4 volumes, breed every special type of Grunty, though you will still need about 40 more random Grunty food per volume to breed each server's noble Grunty. Just make sure your supply of these specific ones does not go below this stock value, and you should be golden. On top of the noble Grunty, Theta server also hosts the poison Grunty and the iron Grunty. Poison and iron have weapons the heavy blade and axemen members will love for easy trade opportunities, and once you have any Grunty, you can then use an item called a Grunty Flute to summon them to the fields and ride on them without fear of triggering magic portals. It's something you'll be loath to do as you'll be missing experience from battles, but if you don't have the time to battle to the dungeon, it is an option you'll want to keep open. Theta Quiet Eternal White Devil is the area Oreo was seen in, but not only was it an unlocked area, it's an empty lead and a dead end. Over in Makanu, me and Elk are having marital problems. What? You have your version and I have mine. The incident ends with Mia feeling off and Kite showing up. Elk invites Kite to one of his favorite areas, dials up plenty of smiling Haifa, as he says his databug may have started to glitch it. But there's actually nothing wrong with the area. Kite asks him there on the pretense of getting him alone, in hopes to trade everything he has in exchange for the bracelet that so entrances Mia, wanting the attention and affection of his friend back. But the bracelet is written to Kite's character, so even if he wanted to, he can't. However, Mia is down in the dungeons fighting a just-infested monster. Kite and Elk alert to it as the area begins to show the signs of infection. The pair show up and reinforce Mia just in time, Kite data draining the bug. She apologized to Elk for making him think he was unwanted, and she entered the area looking for him. Though as their area has been damaged, the pair decide to find a new favorite place to hang out, since areas in the world are near infinite. The board has the events for the next 2 recruits. The first involves another rare item hunt, and the other about a fan club for an apparently popular player. Unfortunately, when logging in, you are once more waylaid by Puros. On top of all the things that make him annoying, the Axeman is an all-day sucker, and Mia gives him an item that causes an ugly neon color palette swap he can't remove. Ladies and gentlemen, the stupid Puros moment of the game. What the hell possessed you to use an item you've never heard of, you unreconstructed moron? Fortunately, while Mia provides the location to disembark immediately, this time you can avoid the quest for now, as his cure lies on a level 16 area, likely beyond all but the power levelers in the audience. But since I am, and I hate Puros a lot in this incarnation, I want to get this out of the way post-haste. And just to add to the tally of things that annoy me to no end about him, he has his own horrible theme song that overwrites that of the Fields theme every time he's in the party. The chief composer for all of the .hack games, as well as most of CyberConnect's content, be it in video game or movie form, was Chikayo Fukuda, with vocal work done by Tomoyo Mitani. I normally love their work, but this is just awful. I mean, it's not ear rape awful, but it is unpleasant, and I feel is the absolute worst composition they have ever made. Thankfully, someone decided not to assault our ears with that theme inside his dungeons, but for companions, he talks the most in them. You'll have to search every freaking room in the dungeon for the cure, and there are several. And no, you can't just head to the bottom floor where the cure was likely hidden. You need to track down every goddamn one of them before Puros' PC is fixed. Fortunately, it's only a 4-floor dungeon, but every minute spent here just feels like a waste. Each of the remedy cycles Puros through a different neon color, until finally Puros finds the right one. As thanks, Puros gives you the stat book called Puros' Diary, but of all things, it only damages your magical attack strength if you bother to use it. Damn it, you can't even get good items for this guy! Why is he here? Why is he so annoying? Why is he a role player? What's with that face, the oversized torso and spindly limbs? Why does he have his own music theme? And why can't I skip his missions?